Halloween dates back 2,000 years when the Celts celebrated with a festival called Samhain. It was to mark the beginning of winter when it was cold and dark and people thought the spirits came out. There were costumes back then, but no trick-or-treating or candy or pumpkins. This probably won't be a huge shock, but those are mostly ideas that started here in the U.S., according to Halloween expert Leslie Bannatyne, author of 5 books on the topic.
Happy Halloween!
So, pumpkins. We know for centuries Europeans carved vegetables like beets or turnips to use as lanterns or to ward off evil spirits. But when Halloween came here to the U.S. from Europe, pumpkins were much more popular. They're everywhere and they're just easier to cut up. So early on, kids would use carved pumpkins to scare people as the days turned shorter. Eventually, they just became great decorations.
Oh, you guys look great!
What about trick-or-treating?
You look awesome!
According to Bannatyne, early Halloween in the U.S. was a lot of parties and parades. But by the 1900s, the tricks started getting a little out of control. There were pranks, there was vandalism, so town leaders started to push the idea of trick-or-treating. It was the modern-day version of a centuries-old tradition of people going door to door asking for food, and those leaders emphasized the treat over the trick.
Thank you!
Ah, the treat. Candy companies are no dummies. They realized that this was great for them. They could do way better than the nuts and the coins that were being given out in the 1950s.
Watch out for the eyeball!
This is actually when the bite size was invented. Let's get back to those costumes. They were popular 2,000 years ago. For millennia, people have been dressing up or disguising themselves for all kinds of holidays. But over the past century or so here in the US, a lot of that dressing up, let's say maybe for Valentine's Day, really has dropped off. Halloween never did. And what started as frightening, morbid, homemade costumes have now become so much more. Heather Brown, WCCO 4 News.